What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Many people who have observed President Biden over the last several years have noticed a significant decline in his overall, I won't say health, but at least his, let's say, vitality, decline in his physical stamina. And if you just look at the debate performance of Joe Biden from 2020 and contrast it to how he appeared in the debates, last week, or was week, almost 2 weeks ago, I guess now, against Trump, you could see something is off with Joe Biden. And I remember telling someone that I was texting at the time of the debate that I said, "Man, is this Joe Biden or Muhammad Ali?" And I wasn't trying to say to be funny, but you know how Ali, when he really started being affected by Parkinson's syndrome, and he started having that mask where his face is almost expressionless, and he had a shuffling type gait. And I was seeing that with Biden. Now, look, I'm not a doctor, but you could clearly see that something is going on with the president. So, CNN reported today that according to White House records, a Parkinson's specialist met with Biden's physician at the White House earlier this year. A top Parkinson's disease specialist held a meeting with Joe Biden's physician at the White House earlier this year, according to records. Dr. Kevin Kennard, a neurologist at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, met with White House physician Dr. Kevin O'Connor at the White House in mid-January, according to White House visiting logs. Kennard has visited the White House 3 times this year, according to the visitor logs. A January 17th meeting with O'Connor and with another staffer on January 26th and March 28th. Kennard has visited the White House at least 8 times over the past year, according to logs, beginning last August and ending with the March 28th meeting. Only the January 17th meetings listed O'Connor as the person who was visited. O'Connor took the unusual step last night of releasing a letter offering some details about Kennard's visit to the White House following days of speculation about the president's health, writing that President Biden has not seen a neurologist outside of his annual physical. And just going through some of this other stuff. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre later repeated Biden had been seen by a neurologist 3 times during his presidency, once during each of his physicals, but declined to name them or explain why Kennard had visited the White House 8 times over the past year. Look, man. Says Biden's latest health report released by O'Connor indicated the president had been screened for a number of neurological conditions, including Parkinson's, with negative results, as did 2 other physical reports from Biden's time as president. I don't know what's going on with Joe Biden. I don't know whether he has Parkinson's or not. But I think all of us can clearly see that there's something going on with him. And it's not really just age. I can't explain it as just age. Because just because you're 81 doesn't explain that. Look, George H.W. Bush was very healthy into his 80s. He went skydiving when he was 85 and 90. Richard Nixon, before he died of a stroke, was still traveling around the world when he was 80, 81, being an elder statesman, meeting with Russia, speaking clearly, thinking clearly. Herbert Hoover was very active into his late 80s. with very little slowdown, except for the normal infirmities of age. But mentally, he was strong as ever. I remember he was at the 1960 Republican Convention. He was 80, 86, 85, 86 at the time. So, you know, being 81 is not an excuse for what we saw the debate we've been seeing recently. Um, there's something else going on with Joe Biden, man. Clearly, clearly. And there's been a deterioration in the president's condition and appearance over the past 3 years. We clearly see it. So, look, why was a Parkinson's specialist there if at least there wasn't a suspicion that that could be what's going on? Why would he just visit? And, either it's one or two things to me. Either it's the White House team, the doctor suspected that he had Parkinson's, and that was outside of his normal specialty. So he sent for the Parkinson's doctor. Or maybe this Parkinson's doctor noticed some troubling symptoms in Biden, contacted the White House, contacted their doctor, and received permission to visit the president. Or maybe it's a combination of both. I mean, that's what I would think. And then for him to have 8 visits, that tends to lend me to believe that there's some credibility that there's something going on. But the only thing about it is usually people who have Parkinson's have a tremor. I don't see a tremor in Joe Biden. I've never noticed a tremor, but he does seem to have some other things going on. You know what I'm saying? The way that he walks is stooped more. His face is oftentimes, it lacks the expression it once had. It's something. It's whatever the case may be. It's something a little off with the guy, man. And to me, if he does have something going on, basically what the Democrats are trying to do is commit one of the biggest cover-ups as far as the president's health is concerned in 80 years. The only two that are bigger is FDR and Wilson. I've talked about that. Woodrow Wilson, while campaigning for the League of Nations in 1919, crisscrossed the country, despite the fact his health was seriously deteriorating, suffered a TIA while he was a transient ischemic attack, which is usually a precursor to a stroke. He suffered it while he was campaigning, giving a speech. He momentarily lost the power to speak. He should have went to the hospital then. I think they did end the tour. He went back to Washington. On October 3rd, 1919, he suffered a massive stroke, which nearly killed him. And they covered it up. He should have stepped down as president. Then the vice president was Thomas Marshall. He should have became president, but they didn't want him in that position. They held it. They did everything they could to cover up the terrible health condition of Woodrow Wilson. It was his wife, the physician. They were pretty much the ones that covered everything up. They covered up from Republicans, the top Republican leadership. They covered up from members of the Democratic Party, his own party. The American people did not know how bad he was off. They just said something about he was suffering from quote unquote nervous exhaustion or something like that. So the rest of his term, we had an invalid president, and technically we had a woman president. We had a female president, and I think her name was Edith Wilson. Then FDR, he was dying of heart disease, and they were covering up the administration, especially in particular his doctors. So I don't know what that's going on right now, but it's something weird going on. I'll tell you one thing. If I was Trump, I would definitely hint at a lot of this stuff in my campaign speeches. I would talk about how, look, a vote for Biden is essentially a vote for Kamala, because the way things are going right now, this guy's not going to be able to finish out his second term if elected, and Kamala's going to become president. That's probably the only way she would become president, is if either Joe Biden stepped down or worse. So, you know, it is what it is, man. But tell me what you guys think.